All right, and this is the Everyday Board Game Podcast with Daniel.
And Daniel.
And we're going to start a new segment today where we will be talking about one specific game, designer, or mechanism, something specific that we're going to break down. We're calling this Board Game Breakdown this week, and we're going to get into it in a bit, specifically with the designer Phil Walker Harding. Daniel and I had a long discussion about which designers we tend to know a lot about, and recently, now we've decided that if Phil Walker Harding is brought to our attention and making a new game, we're going to be excited and we're probably going to seek it out. At least that's for me. I don't know about you, Daniel.
Oh, no, yeah. I'm not as familiar of him as you are. You've actually brought him to my attention. Not realizing I've actually played quite a few of his games, and yeah, no, I have to, everything he's come out with, I gotta check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gotten to that point now where he's definitely a name. He's made a name for himself. But we'll get that. We'll talk about him here in a minute. Let's talk about what we've been doing over the weekend. Have you been playing games, Daniel?
Somewhat. I just picked up some new games, as we talked about last week. The Cool Stuff Inc. order that came in and already busted out one of them and played it twice was Cartographers.
Very cool.
And it was very enjoyable. I actually really like it for flipping right with drawing shapes on a map. It's actually quite fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't been playing many games. My wife and I did play one of the new Phil Walker Harding games, and that is right up to my side, Gingerbread House. And I was certain that she was going to like it. She ended up not enjoying it, which is different because it's kind of combo-y, and that's what she likes to go for, or engine building.
Yeah, but it's combo-y while you're building, and so she's probably not liking the domino feel of it, because speaking of another Phil Walker Harding game she actually enjoyed was Gizmos, and that's why you ended up buying it. You were going to anyways, but she allowed you to buy it because she liked it.
Yeah. No, I think so far this is probably her least favorite Phil Walker Harding. But she did like Barren Park. She did like Silver and Gold, so she likes the tile placement and some back and forth comboing, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah. I think Gingerbread House is a more complicated level of Barren Park.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I mean, it's just dominoes instead of polyominoes, but yeah, it's almost the same thing. But you're trading it, you're getting things to trade in, whereas in Barren Park you just place a tile and get new tiles.
Yeah, exactly. Much simpler.
Yeah. Much simpler, which is also right next to it.
So, as everybody knows, today is May the 4th, also known as Star Wars Day, so May the 4th be with you. I'm in my, Star Wars regalia, got my Star Wars coffee mug. Usually when I'm editing or playing games, especially on this day, I have a Star Wars movie in the background, but didn't want the sound to be picked up. But I do want to mention about some board gaming for Star Wars. I own 3. I own the card game, I forget what it's called, but it's a 2-player card game from Fantasy Flight, where one side plays the Empire and the other side plays the Dark Side. It's enjoyable.
Is that the one that's in the little box?
Yeah, it's the one in the little box.
Yeah.
And then tonight is, and I've talked about this before, but this is the game we're going to be playing tonight over Zoom, and that's Dark Side Rising. And of course, it's May the 4th, so we gotta play some board games and watch some Star Wars and have a good time. So, and a big part of it too is who we're going to be doing it with are big Star Wars fans as well. So it's gonna be a good time.
Good. That sounds like a blast, honestly. Yeah, I don't think I have anything planned for. I mean, maybe I'll watch Star Wars, but I'm not as big of a Star Wars fan as you are. But I do like it. It is good.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Seriously.
I had a Star Wars shirt that I folded yesterday. I washed it and folded it yesterday, and just completely forgot about it today. I'm wearing my.
Friday I was wearing the Star Wars shirt. I was wearing the Mandalorian.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you're definitely more of a fanboy than I am. That's for sure.
Oh, and I readily admit it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be playing games tonight. I know Mondays are normally my meeting nights for certain. I'm working on a game right now in development with not just me right now. I'm actually working with another couple of people that are working on it. So it's a joint design. So we'll see if that goes through. If I work on that meeting today, or if not later this week. Yeah,
Danny, it's a national holiday.
I'm not allowed to speak of the terms of what specific it is talking about. So, with that being said, let's continue on.
Okay, that's weird.
Yep. So let's continue on. Today we're going to try something brand new. We're going to do a board game breakdown, as we called it. So I'm going to pull up the Board Game Geek webpage for him. You'll see his picture pop up here in a moment. There we go. And this is his website. And there's Daniel's picture that I'm going to move off of the side. And here we go. So, Phil Walker Harding, as we said, that he actually has made quite a few games. Now is starting to get bigger and bigger in that. And I would describe his games specifically as he takes a simple mechanism and he makes it completely clean. Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't say completely clean. I would say he makes it simplified.
Right.
Because it doesn't necessarily clean it up. I mean, he streamlines it. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, he streamlines it. And we're going to be talking about some of his more notable games. We'll talk about what we know about each of them and some of our gameplay experiences. And then we'll also break down each of his games and talk about what the mechanisms are, what we like about it, what we may not like about it. We're not sure. And I think we're going to start with older ones.
Some notable awards and recommendations that he's received throughout his lifetime as a game designer as well.
Agreed. Yeah, so we'll delve into all of that stuff down below. So let's start with some of his older ones as far as notable games. Archaeology, the card game. What do you have to say about Archaeology? Now, neither of us have played it yet, except we both have it in the mail.
Yeah.
The new one, anyway.
Mine hasn't been shipped. It's supposed to be in on Friday, but the newer version of it. But from every video I've seen, and I research a lot of my games, like I said. I buy games, as I said before, I buy games blind, but I research the heck out of them. And with it being Phil Walker Harding, I knew I was like, okay, I got to check this out, see if it's interesting to me. And from what I've seen, it's a nice, quick, simple card-playing game that has some variation depending on which, temple or whatever is out there, like the pyramids or some of the other stuff out there. So
yeah,
it seems like it's a hand management system that just is far above and beyond most hand management games I've played.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm noticing the same thing. It's like the original Archaeology, the card game, doesn't look so great. I mean, we can see right here on the Z-Man published it with older art back in 2007. It is not bad. It was published through, I think, his own independent game company called Adventureland Games, where he would get the art, he would produce the game, and he would sell it from himself. And then he also got a co-publisher, Z-Man Games, to do it. Let me make sure that this is working. I'm not sure if the Twitch is frozen or not.
It's showing the
screen?
On my side, it's showing the screen. It shows you at the very top of Archaeology.
Cool.
With its rating and everything.
Fantastic. So overall rank 1400, family weight game. Just under 400, which is not too bad. 20 minutes, 2 to 4 players, best at 3, ages 8+. From what I've seen, it definitely looks about that, you know. It doesn't look much more complicated.
Notable about this card game as well is, if you just go a little further down, it shows that it was nominated nominee in the winner of the 2008 Board Games Australia Awards Best Australian Game. Yeah,
which I didn't even know was a thing, especially 12 years ago.
Yeah, that's what's shocking about it to me, too, is I didn't know, other than the Spiel des Jahres, which I've known has been around since, what,
79.
Yeah, I was going to say late 70s, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any notable game awards, really. Apparently, Australia had one since 2008.
Right, exactly.
At minimum.
So here's an overview of some of the cards, and basically you trade them in for sets. Think akin to kind of like Gin Rummy. You know, you get different sets. The more you have them, generally the more they're worth, but if you exceed a certain amount, then you you might bust on some of them. If you have too many, like let's say 5 of these Pharaoh masks, then you might bust. I don't know if there is 5, but you get the general idea of how this works. I'm really excited to get it to the table.
It's not really like busting per se, is that there's only so many in a game. I think there's only 4 or 5 with Pharaoh masks in the game.
Right.
And if you play it out of your hand and get the points, if you only play 2, you're only going to get the score for 2. However, if you hold on to the cards and wait till you get more and play them out, you get more points. However, there's a possibility of someone stealing it. possibility of something causing you to discard half your hand. It just all depends. That's the newer game. I don't know how the older game plays, but everything I researched in the older game, that's how I've seen
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, definitely. You can see like some of the different types of cards. And you can see how this is definitely a predecessor to Sushi Go.
Oh, yeah. Very much so. With Sushi Go, he turned it around and made it a drafting game where this is just basically hand management, where you draw some cards, you try to play cards without getting them stolen from you. So if someone sees you take that one Pharaoh Mask, they know, and they have the Thief card, they know for a fact you're going to be the target.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's jump up to 2011, 4 years later, Dungeon Raiders. Now, I did look through how this works, and it's very similar to Archaeology, the card game, is that you're delving down in the dungeon. You are trying to get the most points by gathering different kinds of loot. And same thing, sets get you more points. In fact, there was a newer version made by DeVere Games. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Dungeon Raiders. Yeah, here we go. 2018 edition. This was reprinted by DeVere Games. What do you think of this cover?
Hold on, let me looking at Hotel. Which cover are you looking at? I'm having to wait till the. Oh, okay, yeah. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of that. I mean, it's very minimalistic.
I mean, I like the 2011 cover. I don't know how I feel about the 2018 cover.
Right. Yeah, I don't know about that, but it says right here, each player takes on a different role, a different adventurer, joins forces, and tries to destroy things. In a nutshell, get the most treasure and get out wins. I know part of it is that there will be monsters where everybody tries to bid for like what kind of or how much damage they do to the monster. And if they exceed a certain amount, like let's say 12, and you, me, and one other player all have to bid at least 12, I do a 4, you do a 5, and the other player does a 5, then we've succeeded and we've beaten it. However, if we do not beat it, whoever played the lowest number gets penalties. And that's a cool little give and take thing that I haven't seen in too many other games. I like that a lot.
Yeah, no, it sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at some of the artwork on these cards, and I mean, it's not horrible. It's some decent artwork.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. It's good artwork. I think the layout is. It's just that cover immediately wouldn't jump out to me.
No, to me it just kind of looks generic. I think the only issue with the older one is it kind of, if you just at the quick glance that I saw it, it kind of looked like the role player cover almost.
Right. Right, it almost does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Alright, let's jump ahead a couple years to Sushi Go. Now, this was the first game of his that I was familiar with and that I've played. Sushi Go was a tremendously popular, simple card game. Sushi Go was a very simple game of probably, 60 to 80 cards. You take a hand of cards, pick one, that's the one you get to keep for the round. Everybody simultaneously drafts it. How many?
108 in the game.
108. Yeah, so everybody would pick one, put it in front of them, they all reveal, and then pass the entire hand that's remaining to the left. You do that 3 full rounds until all 3 hands have completely been used up. Most points wins. Very simple game, and each of the sushis score in very different ways.
Oh yeah, no, I actually really enjoy this game. I actually own it. My big gripe about it is it comes in a tin. I hate tins. You can't stack things on them unless they're other tins. You can't stack board games. Well, at least with Sushi Go, it's in a smaller tin, so it doesn't take up a lot of room. I keep it in my small game basket.
Oh.
That's on my shelf over here. Now, there's an upgraded version of it, which we'll talk about, Sushi Go Party.
Yeah.
Where it adds more stuff to it, so it's a much bigger tin. So it's a lot harder. I can't keep it in a small basket if I had it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It keeps it in a much larger tin, and you can't store it sideways. It falls out. Now, one thing with my Sushi Go Party, so Sushi Go Party is essentially the same game as Sushi Go, but now it can play up to 8 players, and there's a plethora of just other types of sushis.
Out and add more or different stuff in. It even gives you a menu, which is funny, of what you can have together. The thing that's notable about Sushi Go itself is it was actually, from what I'm seeing, one of his higher awarded games. It had, it was nominated for Board Game Quest Awards in 2013, as well as the Golden Geek Best Card Game and Family Game in 2013. Australia, it won the Best Australian Board Games Australia Awards Best Australian Game winner. It looks like, I don't even know how to pronounce this, but I think it's Netherlands Best Family Game. It was a nomination for that. Origins Award Best Card Game nominee in 2015, and the UK Games Expo Award Best General Card Game winner in 2015. So it was a very impressive game.
Yeah, and I think it was also featured on Tabletop, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was, honestly, and that's another thing that just pushed it over the top too, and that probably derives some of its popularity too, is because Tabletop reached a not a popular, but a cultural, outside of board gaming, basically. In a lot of its games, they called it the Tabletop effect. Once they were aired on Tabletop, they sold out everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. It was hugely popular. I know we brought it into the store just for that reason, if nothing else. And then we played it, and then we're hugely impressed. And now, if you don't like the tin, I know you can go on to Walgreens, and they sell like a compact version that's in a tuck box, which is pretty great.
Better than this tin, but the problem is I already have the tin.
Yeah, so you're probably not going to spend $7 for a tuck box.
No.
Yeah, which I don't blame you.
It's interesting that Game Right Games, which Sushi Go was published by, and still is, I believe, is in Walgreens, of all places.
Right, exactly. It's definitely hit that mass market hobby world, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's just crazy. And I think this game is probably the one that popped them on everybody's map.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because I know I can tell people, it's like, hey, you've played a Phil Walker Harding game, right? Who is that? Oh, you played Sushi Go, right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing that I never realized is Sushi Go doesn't have his name on the cover, which immediately made it so I never knew his name. And granted, I know I've looked it up in the rule book; it is in there. But then eventually, and they did specify that as Phil Walker Harding made the design, but it's not as immediately prominent as all the other games, which started getting his name thrown around more.
And it's funny that you mentioned it. I'm looking at the back of my copy of it, and it's very little on the box, or in this case, the tin. Very little. Game by Phil Walker Harding. I mean, if you didn't look like at the barcode area, you wouldn't see it.
Yeah, exactly. That's all the corporate, like, copywritten stuff. Like, who would look at that? Of course.
Exactly.
Let's jump ahead to another one of his lesser known ones, Pack of Heroes, and 1 year later after Sushi Go. Pack of Heroes, generally speaking, is a game where you are one of the superheroes that are involved, and it's kind of like a grid movement game, similar to what's that game by Arcane Wonders? The one where you have a grid and you're playing cards like a chessboard. I forget exactly what. No. It's there's not pieces. Your cards are your pieces. It was one of their first main ones, and they had a bunch of factions. Anyway, it's similar to that, where you're playing your cards on like a 3x3 grid, and you're battling them against each other. It does look pretty good. It's definitely different.
I think I used to own this game. I don't know if I still do. I'll have to look for it, but
Pack of Heroes?
I used to own it. Yeah, I think I used to own this game.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Let me see if I still have it.
If you do, we need to try it out, because I think you had the page up. Let me pull that up on my end as well.
The cover looks familiar. It was just a game that, again, before I really got into Phil Walker Harding, I used to have it. I think I may have recently resold it, because I never played it, never even thought about it. And this is before I really got into Phil Walker Harding.
Right.
Not seeing it in my pack of little games, and this is where I would have kept it.
Yeah, sure. It was in a little package, or in a little box.
No, I think I ended up selling it, which is a shame, but oh well.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a shame.
But I did find a Star Wars card game.
There you go. Yeah, I haven't heard much of this one. You know, now that I know it's Phil Walker Harding, I'd be willing to play it. But
Yeah,
from
same.
the review I saw, it was okay. Looked all right. It was published through his company Adventureland. That seems to be the only publisher. So that must have been when he stopped publishing his own games. He
I
does
think
have
on his actual personal website, he stopped publishing his own games in about 2014.
right, which is right when this came out. So
Yeah, this might have been one of the last games that he published himself.
more than likely, yeah. All right, let's jump ahead another year to Cacao, which is a game that I do own, but I have not played yet. This is a very simple game where you are going through an island. Let's pull this up real quick so I can show you a picture. You are going through, not an island, you're basically going through a jungle trying to find cacao leaves or cacao fruit. You get the fruit, trade it in, sell it from points, or you're just going to the mine and getting some points, or you're trying to go down the river to make it so you don't get as many negative points. So right up here we have a grid of the board, which is loading right now.
And I'm actually trying to find it on my page as well, because...
Yeah. Well, what makes it neat is every player has a set of these tiles that has a number of workers, anywhere from 0 to 3 workers on one side. When you place it down in as far as the grid, you can never have worker tiles touching each other, nor can you have jungle tiles touching each other. So you're going to be making basically a checkerboard pattern.
Oh,
So,
okay, hold on. I'm looking at some of the pictures here.
uh-huh.
Do you want to tell the people your biggest complaint about this game?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to rant here in a moment about it. And the game itself looks amazing, right? The game looks like it's a lot of fun. You have a worker that starts here at -10. If you get to a river tile or put a worker there, you move them up a river per worker. So let's say I place this tile down that has 2 workers on one side, 1 worker on 2 different sides, and then nothing on that. The tile that it's facing, I get to take that action a number of times equal to the number of workers facing it. So if I place this 2 workers facing a tile, I get to take that action twice. So if that was the river tile, I get to move up the river twice. Thus, from -10 to -1, the farther down the river I go, the more points they're worth. I can also hold up to 5 of the cacao fruit, and those you can sell for other ones. Now, the game itself was a great production, good components. When I punched out, because I just got it this last week, I thoroughly enjoyed it. However, there was one big argument that I had against the production of it that I really disliked, and that is this insert. So if anybody's watching, I'll explain how this works. So your coins fit in these little slots, the cacao fruit fit there, all your tiles fit flush there, then you put your player boards on top of there. Perfect, right? Except you have a 1/2 inch well from where all your tiles sit flush to the top of the box. Well, the rulebook is not 1/2 inch thick. So what happens is, unless you keep your punch board that you've probably discarded by then on top of it, it will not hold everything in. And I know
keep like the punch board that I can understand if it's underneath the insert.
Right. But these 2 little bars, yeah, the top and bottom of this insert is flush with the lid of the box. So there's no way you could even lift up the insert. So, and I store my game sideways. This was infuriating. Uh-huh. So I've already thrown away that insert. And I've rebagged everything, put stuff in token containers. Like, it was, oh, that was frustrating. Because I was like, man, this insert's fantastic. Put my rulebook in, tilted it sideways, had to resort immediately. It was the worst.
So just something I've noticed on a lot of the games that we've talked about, one of the main mechanisms that Phil Walker Harding likes to use is hand management.
Mm-hmm.
You manage the tiles from what you were saying, and it even says it under the classifications over here, hand management, and I think Sushi Go's hand management as well, Archaeology's hand management.
Yep.
I think from what I saw on Pack of Heroes is hand management. I know Dungeon Raider said hand management as well, so he must really like his hand management.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, here I have another example of that. If you look right here on this tile that'll be showing up on Twitch very soon, the yellow player, they were able to take 2 cacao fruit, thus activating this area because they have 2 workers facing that way. They can sell one of them for 2 points and one of them for 3 points for this opposite tile.
Okay.
And so what happens is when I place down a tile, I take all the actions, and if it makes like an L pattern, or if there's an empty spot where 2 or more worker tiles are, then you replace or you place one of the jungle tiles in that spot. So you get to activate that,
Okay.
but that might also activate your tile as well. So if you're a red player, you might actually get to be able to sell a cacao for 2 points each. So, very simple game. There's also one more thing that doesn't show here. So, like, there's these towers, which are majorities. Whoever has the most workers on that gets 6 points. Second most 3. Very reminiscent of some of the cards from Sushi Go. But the one that I wanted to point out that I don't see here is there is a Sunstone, where if you get a Sunstone, you can hold up to 3. They're worth 1 point at the end of the game. Or, if you decide to discard one, you can place a worker tile on top of one of your worker tiles previously placed.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so it replaces it. So that's a really neat little thing. But that's the whole game. You know how to play it now. So now it's just a matter of we need to try it out. Cacao looks really fun. Was it nominated for any awards?
From what I'm seeing, it did have some awards nominations. I'm loading up the page again. I was having freezing issues on my page. So yes, it was nominated for, let's see, the Golden Geek, 2015 Golden Geek Best Family Board Game. Looks like a Romania board gaming in 2015 as well for beginners. Spiel des Spiel Hit für Familien recommended, whatever that means. It was also
recommended family game.
Family game, okay. It was also recommended for the Spiel des Jahres in 2015. I don't even know what country this is, but it's a Wooden Pele Strategy Game of the Year nominee, as well as the 2017 Hungarian Board Game Award nominee.
Wow. Very popular all around the world. So that one definitely did well for him. And I remember when it came out, it looked pretty great. And all the expansions that I've seen has just like tiny little modules that you add in. So those look really cool. But now we're going to skip briefly over Archaeology, the New Expedition, because we did talk about that. That is the reprinting, better art, and I think some streamlined rules. And that's the one that...
From everything I understand, this fixes a lot of people's gripes and gives you more to do in a filler game, so that's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting that in the mail. But now, let's talk about one of his other big boys, Imhotep. Imhotep.
Oh,
yeah,
this is the game that put Phil Walker Harding on my map.
Yeah, definitely. Because this is the first one that you heard of that seemed really cool. And I think I got it, maybe last year? I got it with the expansion.
Yes, but our mutual friend Bryce had it beforehand. That's where I played it for the first time.
Yeah. And it's a very simple game. It's almost like a bidding game in a way, where you're trying to get the most points, go figure, by placing your cubes on these map tiles. Now, each of these map tiles, or location tiles, has a different way of scoring. Some be either immediately, where you take some cards. Some, like the obelisks and the tomb, are scored at the end of the game. The temple is at the end of each round, and the pyramid is immediately when you place it, depending on where you put your tile. On your turn, you have like a choice of one of 4 actions. You can place a cube on one of the boats that hasn't sailed yet. You can take 3 cubes from the supply. You can sail a boat, or you can play a blue action card. When you sail a boat, it doesn't matter whether you have a cube on it or not. You can sail a boat, and it doesn't necessarily have to be filled either. It does have to have a minimum number of cubes, but you could sail an opponent's one. And so this, I'm going to read that in 1 second, Ithri. This game, basically, it boils it down scoring into a very simple mechanism. But I like that given choice where you can take a cube, put it on the boat, or you can sail it, and then in turn order of whatever cubes are on the boat get placed on the board tile of that choice. So it has a lot of cool give and take to it. And Ithri just said, I'd love to read the designer diaries on how these boring themes were chosen. I'm guessing drawn from a hat.
Well, I don't know. Phil Walker Harding really loves like that archaeology feel. I mean, he's got archaeology, Emotep, foreign, cacao is basically building chocolate, I guess you could say. So he kind of likes that exploration theme.
Yeah, definitely. Excavation. Haven't you ever wanted to pick cacao? Be an ancient Egyptian? Boy, I sure do. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's definitely not an exciting theme. And then, but here's the thing with that. We were just talking about, I don't know if you just joined us, but we were talking about Dungeon Raiders a few minutes ago. Dungeon Raiders is an exciting theme. Delving into a dungeon, fighting monsters, exploring, getting treasure. Yeah, it's overdone, but that's definitely an exciting theme. But then when you look at the mechanisms, I'm not sure his style of game justifies that theme.
A dungeon crawl, basically, in a sense.
Yeah, get dry themes involve gameplay. Yeah, exactly. I mean, being an Egyptian builder, that's not a terrible theme. I mean, it's not exciting. It's not conquering different regions, but I don't think it's too bad. And this was one of the first games.
You know. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, this was one of the first games that went with Cosmos. Thames and Cosmos is a company, and it also spawned a 2-player, which they're known for their 2-player games, which we'll be talking about here in a minute, called Imhotep the Duel. All right, what were we going to say?
I looked it up while we were going through all that. The Vauden Pele is actually a Finnish gaming award.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
It's been around since 1994.
Wow. Not quite as long as the Spiel, but hey, that's longer than some of our awards.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought I wanted to find out what it was.
Right.
Apparently it's Finnish. Also for Emotep, the board game here, he has 4 nominations. Doesn't look like a single winner, but the 2016 Cardboard Republic Architect Laurel nominee, the 2016 Golden Geek Best Family Board Game, also a nomination for the 2016 Spiel des Jahres,
which is when it came into my radar for sure.
And then 2017, the Netherlands Netherlands Games Best Family Game.
There we go.
All these were nominations, didn't win any actual awards.
That's a shame, because that's a fantastic game, but I guess I understand it too. All right, let's.
Well, 2016, who won this Spiel in 2016? You would know this off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head, I want to say that was Codenames.
Not surprising. Codenames was a juggernaut.
Codenames might have been 2016 or 2015 though, but I can find out for you soon. Why don't you take it on Sushi Go Party? Are you pretty familiar with that?
Well, yeah, it's Sushi Go, but it's just more stuff is honestly really what Sushi Go Party really is. You have a menu where it tells you to take these cards out and put these cards in. You're still playing the same game as Sushi Go. It's got a plethora of more stuff to play. I can't even remember what's all in there, but because it's so much stuff in Sushi Go Party. Because the base game itself had 108 cards. I think Sushi Go Party, if I can get it to load up on my page over here,
it had nearly 200, I think, if not more.
Yeah, because the tin is like 3 times the size of the one.
Yes, but it also includes the board, the tiles, and the little soy sauce bottles as well.
Yeah, I'm still having issues. My internet's running a little slow for some reason.
No worries. We're going to take this. Go ahead and keep talking. I will be right back.
Party. How about we talk about the third game, skipping ahead a little bit?
The third game, skipping ahead?
In the sushi realm.
Yes. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, let's talk about Sushi Roll, which is the other sushi game, making essentially a trilogy. Although I don't know if I'd count one of them as part of a trilogy. I mean, Sushi Go Party is really just a bigger version of Sushi Go.
This is the way I put Sushi Go and Sushi Go Party. Sushi Go is the theatrical release of Lord of the Rings, and Sushi Go Party is the extended cut that you buy on Blu-ray and then adds an hour and a half of gameplay.
Well, it doesn't have quite that much of actual gameplay, but yeah, I get the analogy. That's awesome. Where the question is, I wonder if you... So Sushi Roll takes the basics of Sushi Go, and it adds on dice, of course, but the way the dice work are very interesting in my opinion. So we have 4 boards. I can play up to 5 players, but this picture shows up to 4. What you do is you all start with the same number of dice. So 4 players, I think it's like 6 or 7 dice. You roll them, place them on this treadmill. Or conveyor belt. Conveyor belt, sorry. Talking about all this food, I'm thinking about how much I need to exercise. So what you're basically doing...
It just lets me know I need to go eat something.
Right? You haven't had lunch yet. So the basic idea of this is that you're going to take 1 die on your turn. Now, unlike Sushi Go, where everybody picks a die or picks a card at the same time and then passes the hand, you do this in turn order. And the reason being is because a swap token, or right here the chopsticks, will let you steal a die from another player's treadmill. Conveyor belt. Conveyor belt. And you place it on yours, and you swap it for one that you already had. So if you had a sashimi over here, and I'm like, man, I really need that sashimi, I can swap it if I have the tokens available. Menus are how you mitigate the dice. They let you re-roll. It's not a guarantee of what you'll get, but these tokens are also worth half a point at the end of the game. At the end of every round, you are going to be trading in your dice for tokens. So what's important to keep in mind is that every die on the, or every face on the white die, that's all nigiri, either worth 1, 2, or 3 points. You have the blue die, which I believe is blue, which is sashimi, dumplings, and tempura. Then you have this greenish gray die. I think it's gray, but with green faces on it. And those are all your special ability stuff. Your wasabi, your menus, and your swap tokens. And then the pink dice are your pudding. Either 1, 2, or 3 pudding. When the round is done and everybody passes their conveyor belt, you re-roll the dice, which is awesome. Oh, and I didn't talk about the red dice. Those are Maki rolls. So what makes this very different than than Sushi Go is that you know what kind of dice are out there. You know that there are blue dice and white dice, and you know what's coming to you next turn, but you don't necessarily know what face you're going to get. And that makes it really intriguing. So if you roll a sashimi, which is pretty rare, do I want to steal it right now? Or you have 3 dice that are blue coming to me anyway, do I want to wait and see what I re-roll? It's a fantastic choice. It works really well, and honestly, this replaces Sushi Go for me. But I don't know if this replaces Sushi Go Party, because this only has the 5 different dice. I don't know, have you played this one yet? We did, right?
No, I have not. I think you got it in right when everything started locking down, so...
That's right, I bought it right before.
Play it, so.
Yeah, I bought this along with Watergate and one other game. So, yeah.
I'm interested. I really want to try this. I've almost bought it at one point, but I just didn't pull the trigger because there was a couple other games that I wanted to get, and I got those off my list, so Sushi Rolls moving to the top.
Yeah, right, exactly. Now, there is one interesting thing about... GameRight is very good about not having production errors. They make most of the pieces themselves, and their games are fairly inexpensive. I think I want to say I bought this for like $23. It was not expensive.
Yeah, GameRight is very good about that.
But one of the dice faces is missing the ink. But they're indented, so you can tell what it is. So one of my egg nigiri that normally would be blue and wrapped with seaweed, it's just a completely blank white face with an indentation of what it should be. And it's the only, I thought about taking a Sharpie to it. I don't know. I'm still not sure. You can still see what it is.
Yeah.
That I had one slight production issue, which is I think one of the first ones I've had with GameRight games. So
one of the few too.
Yeah. Although a friend of mine did buy Dragon Realm, and that game was really messed up. Like some of the pieces were missing, the cards were bent up in manufacturing. It got really wrecked. So that was kind of an odd thing, but you know, that's not has nothing to do with Phil Walker Harding. He didn't personally combine these together. So yeah, good idea of bringing that up. So those are the three sushi games. Let's jump forward to his work with Lookout Games, and that is Baron Park.
Ah,
What are your thoughts on Baron Park?
amazing, amazing game. I have had so much fun playing this game. And it's funny because the first time I played it, I knew Phil Walker Harding because of Emotep, and I played that before. But our mutual friend Dom, he had bought it at the shop. Like, literally, he came in, saw it, bought it. And he's like, hey, I just bought this game. You want to try it? I'm like, sure. And you're like, hey, that's a Phil Walker Harding. I'm like, hey, wait, I know that name. And so we played it, and this is the game that really made me fall in love with Phil Walker Harding games, because it's such a simple tile-laying game, but it's such a puzzle, too.
Yeah, and it came out kind of in the area of all these polyomino games coming out of nowhere. So I remember when I first saw it, I brushed it off. And then when we got it into the shop to sell, it was kind of a fluke. It was not on my radar at all. And then I looked at a video on how to play it, and then 20 minutes later, I was in the shop buying it.
Yeah.
I saw how to play it, and I'm like, I have money to buy it. I need to go have this. And it's a phenomenal game. There's something very simple about it. You place down a polyomino tile. The symbols that you place it on will let you get other tiles.
More tiles, yeah.
That's
and,
it.
You want to try to make it as best as possible, because you only have so many spots that you can put them, and they're such awkward shapes. You kind of want to build this beautiful park, but you need to put them in the right possible way. In this game, I hit a spot I didn't know I needed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's so satisfying to place down those tiles, have everything arranged perfectly, plays different every time. And oh my god, yeah, there's something about this game that's just, if there's one polyomino tile game, this might be my favorite, because I do really enjoy patchwork, but this might be my favorite one.
If it's polynomial tiles, it's Baron Park for me, for sure. Cartographers, you write in polynomials and flipping right, and I do enjoy it, but yeah, no, this one is such an amazing game that I enjoy. The artwork, for as simple as it is really nice on the tiles too. The little bears, the habitat that they're in, amazingly beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. And he does something really interesting with this, is that the tiles, the small ones that are 1, 2, and 3 spaces large, those aren't worth any points. Those are just to help you fill in. And if you fill in all 15 spots on each of the boards, you get a statue of the bear, and that's worth points as well, and those decrease in value. Same with these 4 tetrominoes, I guess they're called. Those decrease in value depending on who gets them first. But all of the orange ones that you need a backhoe to actually do, or to get a hold of, those are worth anywhere from 6, 7, or 8 points depending on their size. Or they're all the same size. They're all 5 squares, which these are the 12 possible permutations of that. And you can always mirror them, rotate them however you need to. But oh my god, this game is fantastic. Everything in the game. This is the first game that I saw that I actually looked for the name Phil Walker Harding. Hands down. I played this. I'm like, okay, I've heard this name before. What other games has he made? Then I found out it was Imhotep. Then I found out he did Sushi Go. And then one of our friends told me about another game, which we'll be talking about very shortly, that he also designed, which was immediately a yes for me to try.
And there's another game that we're talking about too that you put on my radar, we'll get to in a little bit, to the point where, and this is the game that we're about to talk about, we like to call the wildfire game for Danny, because once he shows it to everybody, everybody has to buy it.
Yep.
It spreads like a wildfire. But with Baron Park, I just want to note there is 3 notable nominations and wins on award size. In 2017, it was nominated for the Golden Geek Best Family Board Game, as well as the 2017 Meeple's Choice nominee. It was also the 2017 Spiel der Spiel Game of the Year winner.
Very good, yeah. So next one, his next big notable one, is Gizmos from Come On Entertainment or Come On Limited. I'm not sure how you say their name. Command Limited.
It's
There it is.
Command Limited, yeah.
So this is another one of his very simple concepts. On your turn, you you pick one of the 4 actions that's on your board, whether it's pick a marble, build a building, file, or I'm losing top of my head. I don't remember exactly which one it is. But I'll pull up the board right now so you guys can see an image of it. There we go. And you also have this contraption here that holds all of the marbles inside of it. And it's a 3D contraption. The first edition had a cardboard made one. The second edition used a plastic molded one. But it's essentially the same game. You have your boards, you pick an action, and then you'll eventually be trading in these marbles to get tiles. Now, when you get those tiles, you build them onto their corresponding action, and that will start making you have combos. So, for example, if I build a tile that says when you build a blue gizmo, you get to take you get to pick another marble from the contraption. And so, I might have another gizmo that says when you take a red marble from the contraption, you get to take another wild marble. So let's say I'm able to build a building, which will let me pick a tile. Well then, or I'm sorry, pick a marble. I pick a red marble. Well, because I had that other building, or gizmo, that lets me pick a red marble, I also get a wild one. So it starts comboing and going off of itself and doing extra actions and bonuses and all these other things to eventually the point where the game halts to a fast stop and everybody scores up everything they've got.
This is a game that's on my radar. I've been wanting to play it, but I just haven't got around to it. It was brought to the shop one time, and you guys started playing it right when I was getting a ride home from my wife. She was coming from work, and so I was like, okay, I'll play it next time. And just haven't got it. You just picked it up recently during, I think it was quarantine started. So
yep. Yeah, this was.
I've been wanting to play it. It's been one of the games that are on my radar because I do love me some engine building games, and that's what I hear. This is a really good engine building game. I mean, Terraforming Mars and Wingspan are 2 of my favorite games, so yeah, I think this would fit right up there with me.
Yeah, this would definitely be one that I would suggest to you. I know you would like it, and that's because the engine building in this is so combo-tastic that it's obscene. And what I mean by that is, like, in Wingspan, sure, like, you're building your engine. It's like, all right, I'm going to activate this bird, or if I put a bird on my board, every time I do this action, it's going to give me a little bonus, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that, but some of the birds say, okay, well, whenever you activate this bird, you get a pink egg. And then you have other birds that are inactive that say, whenever you take a pink egg, you get to build another bird. And then you have another one, it's like, when you have a lake-dwelling bird, whenever you build that, you get to take an egg. And you have, like, these crazy combos, and because it activates everything that happens to activate that turn. That's where I think it sets apart from something like Wingspan and other engine builders, is how fast it gets.
Well, no, I don't disagree. Again, as I said, this has been on my radar for quite some time.
Yeah.
Just haven't got around to playing it. Do want to mention some of the awards that it was nominated for and won. So in 2018, it was nominated for the Golden Geek Best Family Board Game. It was also nominated for the Gicolo dell'Anno, which I'm assuming is an Italian game, and I'll look that up here in a minute. And the 2019 Origins Award Best Board Game nomination. And it did win a 2019 Mensa Select.
Very good. Awesome. Yeah, no, it's... I'm surprised this didn't get more awards, honestly. It's fantastic.
I think it just... because of where it fell, as we were talking about 2019.
Oh, yeah.
It went up against Wingspan, and Wingspan just took off.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, as far as the engine building games, Wingspan became the more popular. Although I do like this one better. I like them both. But, yeah, it's hard to compare with the hype that Wingspan got compared to this. That's a hard thing to battle.
I think big thing for Wingspan is because the theme was so different. that helped it out a lot. And not that Gizmos isn't different, but it's a theme more people can get behind.
Yeah, definitely. All
So
right.
the Cicolo del Anno is an Italian award, as I was stating, and it looks like... Doesn't tell me when it started up, but it is an Italian award for board games.
Okay.
And the nomination that Gizmos got was actually the Italian Game of the Year.
Very cool. Yeah, I believe that. Let's jump ahead real quick to 2018. The other part of 2018, Imhotep the Duel. As we were saying earlier, there is a two-player version. This is the two-player version of Imhotep, which, I mean, it played fine with 2 players. It was a little less restrictive, but it wasn't bad. Imhotep the Duel took the same idea, but put on a 3x3 grid, and you take actions based on your positioning with the other player. And so they're immediately going to go from the boat onto the board on that 3x3 grid, and you're going to be able to take actions based on that. It's a cool little concept. It's not hugely different, but I like the changes that he makes to every design that he does. Even if somebody told him, hey, make a 2-player version of Imhotep, now he did change enough, and every permutations of his games, whether they're sequels, they're different enough that I think really thrive on it. That's, I think, all I need to touch base on Imhotep the Duel.
Yeah, I haven't played it myself, so I don't know too much. But my issue with Imhotep the Duel and just any 2-player game is, as much as I want to have more 2-player games, the only other person I play 2 players game with really is my wife, and she just doesn't game as much as she used to.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And same with my wife as well. I have to normally bring them to game night to hopefully get it, and that's postponed for the time being.
Yeah.
All right, 2019, very successful year for Phil Walker Harding. First off, I want to talk about the adventure games, also through Cosmos. Let me pull that up right now. And
which one are you going to pull up?
I'll pull up the Dungeon for now.
Because that's the one you've played.
Yes, because Dungeon is the one I've played. I do own both of them. I haven't played Monochrome Inc. Not because I don't want to, but because I've been playing with one of our mutual friends and, you know, can't do that as easily. But, so the idea of this is a classic point-and-click adventure. If you've ever played point-and-click adventure games, like Shadowgate is the first one that comes to mind, Myst, any of those, this is essentially a board game version of that. It's technically a one-time play, but it plays over a number of chapters. I think the dungeon was 3 chapters, and I'm going to avoid spoilers, but essentially you are these characters, you are going around to different tiles, and you have a number of health points. Now you might lose health, which is possible, and at the end of the chapters, you're going to get a score based on, you know, how much health you have or what items you have. Now, it's hard to see in this picture, but this dungeon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7, probably 8 different areas of interest, and they have a number on it. What happens is you have an app or the adventure book, either one works, and if you want to look at something, let's say you want to look at the skeleton dude here, then you type in that number or look at the adventure, and it will tell you the description of it. Now that may cause events to happen. That may cause you to get new items. That may cause you to cause a fight scene. You might have to combine items together. And there's a lot of different patterns of what you can and what you are able to do. So I think this is a fantastic little point-and-click game. Me and our other player, we played it, no problem. Had a blast, played over the course of 3 days, one for each chapter, and it was just phenomenal. As you unlock different things, you lay out a grid of these boards, it'll tell you which one, it'll give you the description, and goodness, yeah, this is basically the closest thing to a video game I've ever seen in a board game.
It sounds interesting. I am looking at them, I wouldn't mind buying them, even if it's just by myself for solo play. I think I'd have fun with it.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I can lend you mine once we're done with them.
Sounds good to me. Whenever we see each other again,
right?
That isn't on video chat.
Right. Well, one of these years we'll play it. Yeah, but oh man, there's so much fun stuff that happens in this game. all I can tell you is just if that sounds at all interesting, you're not going to be disappointed. Go check it out.
Okay, so going in as well into 2019, there's one more game I want to talk about for sure, and you know which one it is. The
Absolutely.
Wildfire game.
Our Wildfire game, absolutely. Tell us about it.
Silver and Gold is the game, of course, and it is such an amazing flip and right, roll and right, whatever you want. It has gone down so well. No matter who you've shown it to, I think you've shown it to several people, and at least 3 of those people bought this game.
After one play, even.
Yeah, just one play, and everybody's like, let's go ahead and play it. I don't see where you're at on the Twitch is catching up, so I'm going to give it some time.
Yep.
But it's basically just these cards that you can actually write on. That you flip some cards over, and I think it's like one of the first pictures. If you want to go ahead and highlight those.
Yep.
And so there's one card that's your personal scorecard. You have 4 cards that get flipped up, and you have to. And those are important because if you're covering a palm tree on one of your cards, you want to make sure there's palm trees in the tableau. Whenever you complete a card, you take one from the tableau. Each card has their own points on them at the top, but they can compound. Some cards will give you bonuses if you have a certain type of card, whether it's daggers or palm trees or
palm trees.
Not palm trees. I'm looking for.
Oh, the
so you
symbols.
got diamonds, daggers, crowns, and necklaces. Those are the 4 treasure cards. And so when some of them will have bonus for other treasure cards. So if you complete a card that says, "Hey, this is worth 10 points," but you get a 2-point bonus for every diamond that's in your completed collection, and this plays over, 4 rounds?
4 rounds, yep.
And it's such a good game. I mean, everybody who's played it has thoroughly enjoyed this game. And it's one of my go-to flip and rights filler games. And Phil Walker Harding is the king of filler games, I'm coming to find out. Because this plays 20 minutes. You showed it to me when we went to lunch. We had lunch, and then we had to go pick up our mutual friend from the airport. I wasn't even planning on going until I was like, "Hey, we're going to El Paso, right? And Game Vault's right there." And you said they had a copy.
Yep. Yeah, no fewer than, I think, 3 people have have gone to other states to buy this game because I showed it to them once. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
And so I was like, "Hey, you want some company?" Because it was late at night anyways. And you're like, "Yeah, sure." And I'm like, "Cool. Now I can buy me some silver and gold."
Yeah.
The component quality in this game is unbelievable from Pandasaurus. The cards are really nice stock, especially because you got to write on them.
Mm-hmm.
The
dry erase markers. Fine. Yep.
Yeah, the dry erase markers are fine. The insert actually works for such a small box. My one gripe about this game is they didn't give you an eraser.
Yeah, that's why I have so many dry erase stains on my shirts, I was wiping it off like a savage. No. Yeah, they didn't. But I'm going to buy one of the small little microfibers and put it underneath one of the insert parts, and it's just so I can keep it with. But yeah, there was no way to erase the cards afterwards other than your own means, however you decide to. That is the one simple problem that I think this game had. But other than that, the game itself is just fantastic.
And just so everybody know, it did get nominated for the Spiel der Spirit für Familien, which is, from what I'm looking up, the Austrian family game.
Very cool. The Austrian family game. Yeah, it's rated 7.4 online. Yeah, it's up there.
It hits. I'm really digging roll and writes and flip and writes lately. Welcome to Cartographers, as I mentioned earlier. I have Imperial Settlers, roll and write up that way. I have another roll and write coming in, Castles in Burgundy, the dice game.
Yep.
But I truly, truly enjoy Silver and Gold. It's probably my go-to flip and write, roll and write, whatever you want to.
Exactly. So let's just quickly run through any other of his games that we may have missed. I'm going to go in reverse order. There was Yummy World, Party at Picnic Palace from WizKids, I believe. I haven't heard a thing about this game. I haven't seen it. It's never been on my radar. Only
You know,
91 people own it on here,
uh,
so
the one game that actually, when I was deep diving through this to take some notes for this podcast, and again, let's reiterate here, sorry, viewers, we're going through BGG, or I mean, listeners, we're going through BGG website and showing what we're talking about here, but hopefully you can get the gist of it as you're listening to it.
yep.
But another one that really got me interested is Flickachet.
Flickachet, okay. Yeah, we'll get up to that right now. What is Flickachet about?
I do not know. It's a flicking game, from what I understand from Phil Walker Harding.
Okay.
I didn't dig into it as much because it was late at night when I was doing all of this research and tired.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I'll pull up a picture of that right now. Very quick mention. I'm going to say the Lone Ranger shuffling the deck card game, Pacific Rim shuffling the deck card game, Pirates of the Spanish Main shuffling the deck card game. I'm not familiar with any of those personally, but I mean, it's obviously a system that works out pretty well.
Also want to mention that Barron Park has an expansion called Bad News Bears.
Yep, that's pretty great. Where is Flickachet?
Barron Park is just amazing. It's a 2010 game, so it'll be on the second page.
Okay. Flickachet.
So this is a play anywhere game of flicking fun. Flickachet is a simple yet strategic dexterity flicking game that can be played on any table or flat surface. Try and flick your discs as close as possible to the jack while hitting your opponent's disc out of the way. Late in the round, you may move the jack itself to improve your position. Take aim and watch ricochet across the table. But don't knock it off or you'll pay a heavy price. That's its description.
Wow, that's pretty good. I mean, it looks like almost like a portable version of Crokinole, doesn't it?
I was going to say, it kind of looks like Crokinole, and it has me intrigued because I really enjoy Crokinole.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge dexterity fan, but Crokinole is something that I'll play. Rhino Hero is another game I really enjoy, Animal Upon Animal, but I haven't tried, what is that flicking game that's out that is a Western?
Oh, Flick 'em Up.
Yeah, haven't tried that one, not sure if I would like it, but this one has me intrigued because you're basically trying to get as close as possible while knocking your opponent out of the way.
Yeah, definitely. No, that looks intriguing. There's a lot of little games like that I've seen by him, and apologize to the viewers at home. I'm jumping around everywhere. I apologize. This screen is not doing very well. Yeah, no, I've played like Light and Dark, which is another flicking game. That one's pretty neat. Yeah, there's a few others that I've enjoyed, but yeah, I mean they don't immediately call to me as far as designs, right?
Yeah. No, I get it. Another one that I want to mention, I know nothing about this game, but I found it intriguing. It's one of his earlier games called Cannonball Colony. Okay. And it's actually got a really high rating. Mind you, only 82 people have rated on it, but it's sitting at a 7 on BGG.
Right. Yeah, that cover leaves something to be desired. But I've seen some reviews of this, specifically from the Dice Tower. I saw a video review for it, and basically the idea is you're placing down these tiles, trying to build a path to get to certain areas or cover certain areas with your colored tiles.
It looks like your style of game because of the pyramids.
Well, I do like pyramids in games, and I do like obscure pieces. I know the cubes themselves are considered cannonballs, or at least some of them, and when you place them down, it destroys tiles in certain areas. Yeah, I mean, it just looks like a simple one. I don't know if I'd buy it or seek it out actively. I feel like I have a lot of these tiles. They're like the kind that you use as manipulatives at school, and you teach kids how to count with them. That's what I feel is where these came from. But I mean, that's fine. It's if they were just a component.
Well, you can also understand this is one of his earlier designs. So
yeah,
he
definitely
probably used what he could.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, production-wise, that's cheap for art. You know, like, you don't have to pay an artist to make generic pieces.
The thing is, just by looking at these photos here, it's a colorful game. And even with abstract strategy, this kind of looks like, or it even says it's under abstract and strategy. I would actually want to try this. And you know me, I'm not a huge abstract strategy kind of guy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm guessing you'd probably want to try it just because it has Phil Walker Harding's name on it.
You're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that's
But also, just notable on this, it actually was nominated for the Australian Awards Best Australian Game in 2009.
wow. There you go. And I think the last one that I really want to point out is Gingerbread House, which was not on his notable ones, which is a absolute shame in my opinion. This is one of my favorite games from him. You are placing down domino tiles, getting one of four different types of gingerbread, and you're trying to trade them in to capture different fairy tale creatures or fairy tale characters that are trying to eat your house. So you lure them to your house with the gingerbread and you trap them, and they're worth points. It's really silly, but what I like
With
about
some
this,
really good comboing too.
yeah, exactly. That's what I love about it is that when you place down a tile, all you do on your turn is technically place down a domino tile. That's it. However, what you can do is, let's say you place down a domino tile, the two symbols that you cover up are the two gingerbread or other tokens that you receive. So let's say I get like a pink and a blue gingerbread, and I'm able to pay for one of my characters. So I pay for it, I capture them. Well, when you capture them, you get a wild gingerbread that's only one space large, and you place it down, and you also receive that one. But then you have enough to buy a second character. So you do that, and you get another wild gingerbread that you place down to get the token. But then also, if you cover up two of the same symbols, you get a bonus third one. So if I cover up two yellow, I get a 3 yellow total. And then, if you fill in a layer, you get to take a bonus card. The sooner you do that, the sooner you get first picks on the bonus cards, which will determine how many bonus points you get based on what's showing on your house and what characters you have. Oh my gosh.
I had a really fun time the first time we played this. What's funny about it is you didn't even play a full game and you're like, I need this game. And then we played a full game at home and you're like, I really need this game at my home, man. And you're like, I really need this game now.
Yeah, no, I love the trading in, the comboing. It's everything I wanted in Splendor, but with combos. And I love the combos that are involved in it. I like being able to do one thing on my turn, which evolves into 6 other things. It's so good.
It's such a good game. I didn't even know what I was doing really half the time because it was my first game and I was learning it. And I got the concept, but I didn't know like the bonus card rule and stuff like that. It happens, but I still had a blast playing it. I'm like, oh, okay, I figured this out. Oh, okay, if I do this and this, I can grab this. And it was really, really enjoyable.
Yeah. So I think that mostly goes over all the games that I can tell. What do you think? Is there any others that you want to bring up?
Looking at, other than we've talked about it, we touched upon it, Archaeology, the New Expedition, which is just colorful. I just want to mention, I did take notes on here. I've played 5 Phil Walker Harding games for sure, and I own 2 of them, and the third one's on its way right now, and I'm going to be adding more to my collection. Just going back to Gingerbread House real quick, it was nominated, or won, let's see here, recommended for the 2019 Spiel der Spiel Hit mit Fruden. I'm sorry, any Germans or Austrians or whatever language. It is Austrian Game of the Year, which I think is German, right? Or at least,
Austrian Game of the Year?
yeah.
Austria is independent, I believe.
Well, yes, but I think they speak German.
Oh, ooh. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I genuinely don't remember.
Well, anyways, it was nominated for the Game Hits with Friends category.
Okay.
That
That's
is,
Game Hits with Friends.
They have 6
Okay.
categories in this award. Game Hits with Friends, Game Hits for Children, Game Hits for Multiplayers, Game Hits for 2 players, and Hits for Experts. And so this one was the Game Hit for Friends nomination.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I could definitely see why. I like Gingerbread House a lot. I don't think it's gotten enough love, but I mean, I don't know if it unseats. I don't know if it's my favorite Phil Walker Harding, but there's so many to choose from. It's hard.
I do enjoy it. I really do enjoy it, but it isn't my favorite Phil Walker Harding game. That's a tough one for me. There is 2 games in the running for my favorite Phil Walker Harding game.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Do we want to do a quick live rank?
Sure. I mean, out of the 5 I played, I can do a top 5 out of this.
Let's do a top 3.
Okay, my top 3. My number 3 is Emotep.
Okay. Yep, for all the solid reasons. Let me give this a quick think because, man, they're all really good. But I think my number 3 is probably Gizmos.
Shocking that I thought that would be higher, but now that I think of it, no, I'm not surprised. So, I am going to give... Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm going to give my number 2 to Silver and Gold.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah,
I really enjoy that game. Like I said, it hits such a good spot. And on the box it says it plays in 20 minutes, and it's not lying.
Yeah, no. If you're really thinking hard, maybe 30. But that's still not long. My number 2 would have to be Gingerbread House.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You really do dig that game.
Yep.
Can you guess what my number 1 is?
Let's see here. It's not Silver and Gold. It's not Imhotep.
Nope.
Is it Sushigo?
Nope.
Okay, give me a second.
Wait. Right behind you.
Baron Park.
Yeah.
Yep.
Baron Park is my number 1.
As with mine. Number 1, Baron Park. It hits on all cylinders. It's so good.
It's like I've mentioned that I kind of fall back and not try to buy everything at once, especially because everybody else has it. You have it. Our mutual friend has it. This is a must-buy for me. Baron Park is something that I am going to seek and try to buy. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet because, again, there's other stuff that I wanted to get to the table, and a lot of the stuff I recently bought were on sale.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Well, there you have it. So that is a board game breakdown of Phil Walker Harding games. I know it was kind of long. We want to get really in-depth and talk about each of the games that they bring and why we enjoy them. As you can see, if you're not familiar with some of these games, of course, any of the games that have his name on it is worth checking out. They all are super streamlined. They're easy to get to the table. They're not complex to learn, but they offer a lot of meaningful choices. And yeah, I don't think I've had a bad time playing a Phil Walker Harding game yet. So keep making the games. I'm going to check out everything he comes out with from now on. And do you have any last words to say, Daniel?
Just enjoy yourself and play more games.
All right. So that's been Everyday Board Games, Board Game Breakdown. Thanks for joining us. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Okay, let me make sure that stopped filming. Stopped recording. There we go. It's getting there anyway.
Alrighty, so do you want